Hey, good morning. Happy New Year. So, I want to tell you about my New Year. I didn't make any resolutions because it's all bullshit. You shouldn't have to make New Year's resolutions. It's a daily thing. You should always try to do the right thing every day. But for my New Year's experience, I hate to say it, but I got to shame this place. I went to Morton Grove liquor store, grocery store, mini mart, whatever you want to call it, on Lincoln Avenue. And I bought 2 bottles of Ballatory champagne on December 31st. And then New Year's Eve, I went to visit some friends. And I bring some champagne. You know, that's what you do, right? Bring something. And come midnight, we open the bottles. Nothing. No pop, no fizz. Turned brown, sour. So I got angry about it. And on January 1st, I went back to the store with the bottles. I didn't drink them. Spilled a little bit in my car as I was traveling because it was bouncing around and stuff. But anyway, you know how champagne corks are. When you pull them out of the bottle, they expand. You can't put them back in. That's if it's good. So I realized this champagne had gone sour, and I went back to the store the next day. And the guy tells me, "Oh, you have to come back tomorrow before 12. When the owner is here, I can't do nothing. He can do something about it." Well, today I go back there at 8 in the morning because that's how my days start, early. And the same guy was there. The owner wasn't there. And now he's giving me flack about, I can't do nothing about it because they were already open. And I said, well, how are you going to know they're not good if you don't open them? And then I asked him what the temperature in the store was, and he said 70. And I said, well, see, that's your problem right there. You're keeping them on the shelf, standing up in hot temperatures. And you're supposed to keep them between 40 and 60 degrees and tilt it so that the cork stays moist. Because that cork dried up and all the fizz went out and oxygen went in and stuff went bad. But instead, he takes the route of, oh, I can't do nothing. I can't do nothing. I said, oh, that's fine. I lost $20, but you lost a customer. And I told him in America, we don't sell bad product to people. You know, that's why you go to the store and return things, get your money back, or buy something different. But the way these people deal with it makes me realize that they don't even know what their products are and what they should be kept, you know, on a shelf for to be proper, good product. So I said to the guy, are you telling me I'm stupid? He says, no, I'm not telling you that, sir, but you are when you're telling me that, you know, your temperature is 70 and you're keeping the champagne and all you wine bottles upright on a rack here in this heat. And then when I return it and tell you it's not good, you're telling me to come back the next day, and then the next day you tell me there's nothing you can do about it. So of course I left him the garbage there on the counter, you know, and told him, well, you get to throw it out. I lost $20, but you lost a customer. And now I'm going to tell everybody my experience. And yes, it sucked at New Year's to be the fool that bought the bad champagne from the corner store. Now, this tells me if you're going to be ignorant of knowledge, then you might as well not even fucking work in a place like that. You might as well not even own a business like that. You're giving other business owners a bad name, especially small business or family business. And if you've noticed in America, that's going out of style. Not only just businesses, but farms and everything else. Anything that's family owned, if it's not a big enough family to be a corporation that the government can regulate or whatever, you know, it's out of business. So I don't know if it's, you know, with what's going on with politics in today's age, or if it's always been like that. I personally don't care. I learn my lessons and I move on to a different thing. But I can see why things are going that way, and I can see how we're such a wasteful country. Spend money on all the wrong things. That's just my opinion, you know, my discernment. Speaking of discernment, you've seen my videos about the forest preserves and people breaking the law and things like that, right? And then the law asks you for help. Well, this is why I was mad in my other videos, and I told them to get the hell off my channel, because they have been watching my channel, and they pick and choose which videos they use, and they show up at people's houses to give them tickets. But they don't want me to have any confrontations with these people when I see them doing bad things in the park. So even when if a dog's lunging at me because it's off leash, then you know it's my fault for being in the park. I can't say shit to those people because it would be a confrontation. But they pass out these pamphlets, you know, where they want to recruit you as a trail watcher, you know, a discreet, you know, undercover snitch. Well, I don't have no problem with being called a snitch, because that's just what criminals call people who are whistleblowers. And hey, it's engraved in my name and in my blood to do the right thing. And I always say something to people when I see them doing something wrong. I don't care if they retaliate. That's their problem. It's 2 mistakes. So, but the law made a mistake now too, because they try to warn me that they're getting calls from people because I'm filming them and I'm following them around in the parking lot. So it's a long park. I can drive around through there all I want and videotape all I want. And I can say whatever I want to whoever I want. And if somebody tells me they already know that it's against the law to feed the wildlife, and they're doing it, and then they're encouraging their 3-year-old daughter to do it, and I got them on video, these are people that complain that I got them on video because I told them, so they wouldn't know. Because the police is just going to tell them, hey, you know that's illegal, right? I had one officer say she believes in the teaching aspect of it. Well, if you're going to be believing in the teaching, then you should be a freaking teacher, not a law enforcement officer. The other ones, there's some of them that just find their job cushy, and they sit in their cars for hours and hours and hours every day and get a paycheck because they don't do anything. I've talked to them numerous times. They never took down statements until I went over their heads or behind their backs. They did not like that. So then there's the other person who's feeding the wildlife, who left nasty notes in the woods because I was picking up their garbage, and the bags that they left food in, the trays for the watering the animals and stuff like that. They're littering, and I picked it up voluntarily. All I did, everything I was doing, it was volunteer. I didn't get paid for any of it. So these people are now complaining that I'm following them around, and she says that I'm stalking her because I'm following her to the specific locations where she's feeding animals and putting out water dishes and filming them. But how do you call that stalking when I'm out in public videotaping and seeing anything anyone can see? I can follow any car I want to whatever destination I want. I don't intend to mean them any harm. Unless they're doing something illegal, then they should know. And that would be the law's part, where they would, you know, go give them tickets or whatever. But I can always, you know, say something, because that's the motto that they put on their flyer for the trail watchers. If you see something, say something. Yeah, but they want you to say it to them and not to the people directly. So you got to involve another jackass in between you and the problem. You see what I'm saying? Well, I'm not a jackass. I go directly to the point and I do my part. But apparently that makes them look bad. And they had to confront me and give me a warning that they've been answering these calls, and they know there's a problem there, and then there's no need for me to be there, and that there's no need for me to videotape because they're aware of the problem. Well, I'm seeing why there's a problem there. They've already told me they're shorthanded. They don't have enough people, but now they got more people. Well, guess what? Now they got more rookies who make up their own laws. And yeah, you've seen this, and you'll see it in the cloud through the internet. Look at different channels that audit the police and things like that. Look at it. Look at the news and how many bad cops they've been finding lately. This is happening in my neighborhood too, and it's happening in your neighborhood, wherever you live in. And one of the officers even said, "Oh, there's bad seeds in all the bunches." I don't believe there's bad seeds in any bunches. I believe that everybody starts out good, but somehow along the line, they learn how to get around things to get their way. Just as much as I believe a lot of these officers are in it for the power trip. It's not because they want to do something to change anything for the better or enforce the laws that exist. They don't need help. They need to do their work. That's what they need. And now they become judges because they discern as to who to give a ticket to and who not to give a ticket to. But if you're going to confront them over breaking the law, then everybody should get a ticket. Isn't that the fairness? Oh, but no, because if it happens to be the mayor or his wife or his daughter feeding the poor deer who they're tree training to come up to your car or something, oh, we don't want to make a stink because then it's going to go public and make our department look bad. Your department's already bad. That's why nobody wants to do the job. Nobody wants to work for you. And as far as maintenance goes, it's another shitty job. They don't pay enough. People don't want to work for them. They're shorthanded too. Oh, but now they want volunteers. The dumb-ass civilians, citizens, who have nothing better to do with their lives come clean up our parks. Or use the school kids. Because we can't afford to pay these people. Nobody wants to do the job. We're so shorthanded. Everybody wants to be a genius and spin rockets into space like Elon Musk. That's what's going on with the younger generations. They want overnight success. And even these cops, they're in their early 30s or late 20s. And they think they know more than a 53-year-old guy who's been living his life on the streets helping people all the time. Even on the way home from my friend's house on New Year's, there was a lady broke down on the highway looking around like a lost chicken. So I went out of my way to get back on the highway, to get off on the ramp she was on, to help her out. And I did. And I jump-started her car 3 times to get her to a Safeway, a gas station, where her father called AAA to have her car towed to Kenosha Towing so they can get it fixed. This lady was from like Tomahawk, Wisconsin, another 3 hours north from where I had found her broke down. She was 27 years old and had 2 children in the car, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. Now, granted, I'm not faulting her for, taking a risk with a used car and driving the distance, because she had to go all the way to Lafayette, Indiana from her home, which is a halfway mark to where her children's dad lived in Tennessee. So they have to exchange the kids every holiday season. So she's putting on this mileage, on this used vehicle. And obviously it broke down and she didn't have what she needed for help. By the time I turned around and got back on the highway, there's already a wrecker behind her with a car on it. And there was a 20-some-year-old kid driving it. And he couldn't help her. He said their shop doesn't open till like the 6th of January or something like that. But he had a load on his car, so whatever, on his flatbed. So I felt bad for this poor girl and these kids. They're still in their pajamas. That means they left home early in the morning from their dad's house, and then they're stuck on the road. And here's like 3 in the afternoon. In another hour or 2 of sunsets, it'll be dark. And now this girl's waiting in a Culver's restaurant so that her fiance can come pick them up. Which I thought, there's a lot of things you can think about that, right? But it's the youth, and their thought process. I feel bad for them that they're in that situation, but I was able to help them and get her to a safe place and the kids and stuff like that. I didn't care for anything in return, but again, these are the stupid things I do when I help people when they're broke down or whatever. And it's not just, on the highway, it's everywhere. Everywhere I go, whatever side jobs I do, I try to help people. And there's always those snakes, the wise ones, they try to rope me in and, I can give you a lot of work. I don't want a lot of work for less pay. And when I find out that's what you're doing and you're just hustling, you lost me. I'm not here to help snakes get wealthy, like the grocery store snake. He should have taken his loss, but I took it instead and he lost a customer. I will not support those places anymore. I'd rather go to Walmart, yes, and get the product that I need that's good product, that I choose, not what's available, Because I've been looking for that Balatori champagne. Every New Year's, that's what I buy. Since I've discovered it, it was my favorite, the Gran Spumante. But I couldn't find it at Walmart because it was sold out before I got there, so I figured, let's try this place. Well, now I find out why they had it on the shelf. Because people probably already learned that lesson. So, there you have it. I get to smack these people back through the internet. And I really don't care what they think. And I'm sure that, a lot of people don't even care about what I'm saying. But this is what life is like. and there's plenty of crap to sling around. And I just like to bring things to light so that people will see and think differently before they support someone, and why and how they support them. Because I even looked up the reviews online for this store, and there's some of them that you can tell they're totally ass kissers because they want to be the what do you call it, review analyst, the critics. So the more good reviews they have, because that's the community's guideline. Oh, let's not talk about the dirt, let's just talk about good things, positive things. But then you have bullshit in the world, and in the world news and your local news and everywhere else, and then you're surprised why you find 3 kids that are in their early 20s or even minors in a stolen car with guns on them. Where are they learning this shit from? Where are they learning to steal cars? Where are they learning to get money to get guns, or whatever, however they acquire them? Because the community can't do nothing about it. You don't know who your neighbors are. And even now, one of my neighbors decided he was going to be a police officer, right? So we get this letter in the mail notifying us that one of the neighbors wanted to become a police officer. And they were asking about, did you know them as a kid growing up? So they're doing some sort of background checks in the neighborhood about these people that they're trying to make sure that they're going to be good officers, and they start out good and they're good behavior and blah, blah, blah. Well, they can start out good and go out bad. I mean, there's theories on everything like that. Usually when kids start out bad, they go out good because they learn the right things from their youth. But then there's the ones that, they're goody two-shoes all their life, and then, when they turn 50 and they go through a divorce, they kill their wife and their kids and themselves, or worse. And then you got, the educated ones. Well, look at that murder in, Idaho or something, where there's 4 college students stabbed to death. Well, guess what the killer was? It's another student from a different university, and look at what he's studying. Criminology. Oh, wow. You see, so it's not just dumb people. It's not just dumb people who do these things. There's something going on with the thought process of these people. And they're not stupid. They go to college. Oh, college degree, that means you're an asset for the community. Yeah, and look at all these dirty cops who kill people, even themselves. Like there was one here in Lake Forest, shot himself, and then tried to blame it on a couple of black kids or something running with guns through the forest preserve. And here the FBI comes in and finds out he's been embezzling money. He's trying to cover it up, and he tried to make it look like he was, injured in the line of duty. Then he freaking dies. Now his wife loses his pension, and he gets a bad name. He gives the department a bad name. Oh yeah, they frown on that shit, but it's still happening because people who go for power want it for the wrong reasons. They want to have ties to the community so that they can do business, so they can make money. Same things as politicians who freaking lied to you. They lied to your face. Oh, elect me because I'm going to do this and this and this. And then when they get there, things change because somebody along the way changes them. So who's in power? Who's in control here? Because I'm seeing it on both sides. And there's always, only 2 sides to a story. Well, guess what? I think there's more. I think there's more, and they don't want us to know. And that's why they have community guidelines for idiots that they try to control. Because if you speak the truth, they don't want to hear it. They don't want you making them look bad. Well, if there's nothing bad to see, then there would be nothing to have to worry about. But everybody's covering up some shit. Even in the police departments, they cover their own ass. They lie. They make up fake laws to get their way in control of people. They demand respect. That's when I first lose respect for them. I mean, you demand something from me. One minute you call yourself a public servant, but then you're trying to be dominating me, the public that you work for. You're not going to dominate me. You're still going to be a public servant. And you're getting paid for it. But you're going to have nothing to do with me. And I'm not going to have anything to do with you. And I realize you're not friends to the public. You're not even servants to the public. You're just there to serve yourself. You're just reaping the tax money on a cushy, secure job. Granted, not all of them are like that, but yes, we have different divisions, different departments. I never see anybody running through the woods with a gun to threaten the life of a forest preserve police. I never hear of that, but I hear of police shooting themselves in forest preserves, and that's something, and trying to blame it on some other guy. Where did they come up with this knowledge? Because they gotta cover up one shit after another so they don't expose themselves. But when you expose them, you become their enemy. So they're not your friends. They're not the public's friends. They're there to do a job, and their life is just a job. And they'll twist stories to fit their narrative and to prove their points, because they have the power. And yes, any one of them that chases power is because they're corrupt. Because absolute power corrupts absolutely. So your absolute might be a little more minute, but you're still absolutely corrupt. And a lot of them use their power and their authority for political gains. Get more people on your side, and then what? They're going to run for office later. Isn't that what's going on? Lawyers become judges. Judges become politicians. Where are we at now? Look how happy the divided country is. I wonder why that is, And then you have these, it's just too funny for me to think that, we use a donkey and an elephant to represent these political parties. Or even our country's bird, the eagle. People don't realize they're raptors. Snakes with wings. So, why are you surprised? I tell people eagles don't fly with the left and right wing. They fly with their brain, which is hidden in the skull. So who's hidden in our government? Who's the brain behind our leaders and our politicians? How did they choose to play us and vaccinate us for our own safety and health concerns? Put a little more poison in your blood. It'll kill the bacteria. But we'll decide what's good and bad bacteria. Whoever pays the most gets the power. So when you talk about power and money, they don't want you talking about what the root of all evil is. And that is the love of money. And if money's in power, there you go. There's the root of all evil. And your power-tripping positions of government, from local government to federal government. I'm not anti-government. I'm anti-idiots in the government who think they're going to get away with it. And they're all getting exposed. But you got to have power to fight power. So somebody like Elon Musk, excuse me, can buy Twitter and expose whatever files before that weren't able to be exposed because of whoever ran that social media company. Well, all our media's companies are run by mostly private entities or whatever, and they have their own agendas. Of course, we all know this, especially if you watch the news and you have some wits, to figure out that, hey, this is their way of walking, their path, their idea, their agenda, their interests. Well, there's a lot of paths, and they all lead to the same place. And believe me, some of you are going to fall off your paths or get taken down by others who are doing the same thing you're doing, because that's where the confrontation and the challenge is. You see, when you've got nothing, there's nothing they can take from you. And if they take away your freedom, maybe you should enjoy it. Maybe being locked up and let them pay your way through life, since they want to keep you there and they need idiots in prisons. Be an idiot if that's what you want, but I'm not that guy. I like being free, and I'm not going to let somebody tell me how to live my life. When I've made it this far, with my own 2 cents in my labor, and I'm not obese or unhealthy or mentally ill. I mean, granted that, if you ever get in a situation, they're going to make you look that way, regardless. You got some sort of mental internetitis or some shit like that, they'll come up with something to discredit you and demean you because you opened your mouth. That's why you got people like Snowden and what's the other guy's name? I can't think of it right now. Anyway, the whistleblowers, right? Well, they're criminals. They disclose private information and confidential information. Well, you see, that's the thing. Why does it have to be confidential? Why does it have to be private? Because something shady's going on, you know? And just as much as a federal agent can go in a group of people that seem to be troublemakers and start suggesting that, hey, you guys should do these kinds of crimes. I'll pay you this kind of money for these goods, right? Well, when it comes to court and your kids are trying to defend themselves, that, hey, he taught us how to do these bad things. His defense is going to be something that a judge is going to back when he says, oh, he took oath before me, meaning before the judge, and basically if he had really been a bad guy, a mafioso, the kids would have done the same thing. So now what are you trying to say, you know? Are you starting labeling young criminals whose brains not even developed yet? Because they got to get to a certain stage before their brain develops. Everything develops in stages and systems, and we live in a system of systems within systems. And the universe is pretty big. And humans really think they're God. They do believe that. Because we're the dominant animal on this planet. They believe they're God. They can control the world. They can control the planet. And they try to do it. Even our own government. Superpower, right? We want to share our knowledge and our power of diversity and democracy around the world. Well, some countries don't give a crap about that. And they want to live their cultural lives, say China or Russia. They're pretty strong too because they're old governments. But this new young one is coming, and they're coming for us. You know, they're going to change us. They're going to liberate our people. We can't be dictators anymore. We can't control them. But you're going to be controlled. You're going to be controlled regardless by some system or another. Because it's true. The only freedom you have is when you got nothing left to lose. Yeah. And we're going to blame that one on the Illuminati that illuminates you, you know, through the mediums of music and entertainment and art. And these screens that light up, that have been programming you since they existed, and television was discovered. Because before that, we had radio programming. You see, when people are whispering in your ear and you do stupid shit because you didn't have time to think, because you trusted this person to be your friend. And then he got, you know, a funny hair up his ass to think of something funny to say to you, and you were too stupid to process it, and you reacted before you processed. And then you get in trouble. But they don't. Because, oh, you did this wrong. Well, if somebody tells you to jump off a bridge, do you go jump off the bridge? Or if somebody tells you to jump off a high rise, do you go jump off a high rise? But see, in that instant, in that moment, when you're not thinking, and you have people like that around you, oh, they might have a twisted sense of humor, or they're a bully or something, but then you get kicked out of one thing or another because you've done something wrong. Because you were a little slow. Yeah, and these people too, they become law enforcement officers, because I know one of them, and that's happened to me. I got kicked out of my psychology class because of one of my friends who thought he was being funny. And I was getting scolded by the teacher because I wasn't even talking, but she can hear noise in the background, and she thought she could recognize my voice, so she used my name, and I wasn't even talking. So then my classmate, I don't know if I can call him a friend, but we were young anyway. He said something in my ear, and while she was erasing the board, and without thinking, you know, I just repeated it, and I said, you know, just because you're ragging doesn't mean you have to bitch at me. And I did not think that that meant, you know, as a woman's menstrual thing, or, you know, erasing the board. There's always two ways to think, and apparently this wise ass, he knew what he was doing, or he would have said it himself, you know, but I was tricked into it because I was a little slow. Yes, I'm bilingual. I speak more than 2 languages. So sometimes my thought process is a little slower because I'm trying to make sense as to what I'm seeing or what I'm hearing and things like that. But when I was young and dumb, and I couldn't think long-term processing, judgment, and consequence. I fell to these things. That's where our youth is going now. The media that's training them for diversity with the LGBTQ stuff. I didn't have health class until 6th grade, and even then it was all about the health and the reproductive stuff. I want to say it was, an introduction to, sexual experiences and diseases. That it wasn't something encouraging. Now they're encouraging kids, be yourself. If you feel like you want to be a girl, you should be a girl. If you want to be a boy, you should be a boy, whatever. I don't think kids should have to deal with that. If your brain, and science says that your brain does not develop long-term judgment and consequence till after the age of 20, then why are they teaching kids that they have this freedom to make these decisions of long-term life and consequence when they're kids? So what's the science behind this here? Who's pushing these things? And the same goes with everything else. If your brain doesn't develop a specific stage till a certain age, then why are you even hiring 20-year-olds to be police officers? They have no experience in life with their thought process. But you need fresh green minds to train the so-called right way to work in the community. And now you've got some inexperienced, power-hungry kid trying to tell older people how they should live and how they should behave. Because every generation changes, and they just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. The same common sense skills and whatever you want to call them, life skills, they don't change. But for 12,000 years that humans have been around, that we know of, maybe even longer, we've had this knowledge. And somehow along the ways we've lost some of it we're gaining back, but it never lasts long enough for us to stop this behavior and these switches and changes and tossings of back and forth. And I wonder why that is. Because the powers in control are in it for the money. They don't think we're going to be in it for the long haul. So what do you want to study in life? What do you want to do? What's your part? You get a choice to a point, until some other dictator gets into power and tells you, no, we have a world pandemic, things are going to change, people should change careers, we're going to push science and math and technology. Well, how far do you think that's going to take us? Yes, we're in the space, we've been to the moon, the Earth's not flat, there's no aliens other than the ones we alienate ourselves, meaning our neighboring countries, fellow humans.